Hello and welcome to the Idiot Book Nook. My name is Blazewing and my pronouns are they, them.
My name is Lady Punnet. My pronouns are primarily she, her, sometimes they, them. Today is a she, they kind of day.
And I'm Shy. My pronouns are mostly she, her, sometimes they, them. Today's a her day.
And we're talking about Chapter 6 of Fame Has Its Price by the Vampire Jack Townson, which comes with some really heavy trigger warnings and a little bit of spice to that. But before we
A
get into
little
that,
bit.
if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can do so at linktr.ee/idiotbooknook. You'll be able to find links to our podcast, to our YouTube, and to all of our individual projects, including our Twitch, where we stream on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, and you are welcome to come and join us. But tell me, what are we thinking for this chapter?
I couldn't read most of it.
Yeah, well, half of it was essentially half of it was
Smut.
not appropriate for this venue. From what I glanced, sign me up. If you're gonna go some way, that's the way to go.
Yeah, I've watched social media posts from other people reading this book like just after it came out. And a lot of the reaction was, "Oh my god, chapter 6," or, fan self at reading chapter 6, that sort of thing. And I'm just going to say, I actually don't disagree with those sentiments.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like, a total like the anime nosebleed of "Woo!" Wasn't quite that level. But, as far as turning somebody goes, that
That is definitely a way to do it.
he knows what he's doing.
That is definitely a way to do it.
Being around that long, I guess, has its perks.
Seems a few other thing has its perks too, but I mean,
Yeah. I think the way he
Pricks.
revealed the way he revealed himself was good, I think. Just because you tell somebody I'm a vampire, they're gonna be like, yeah, right, prove it. Like, well, the fangs. This is like, well, those can be fake. Well, my eyes, those can be contacts. But like, I'm walking on the wall, like Dracula when he was like crawling down the thing in the movie. If you guys know which scene I'm talking about, like that kind of like, oh yeah, gravity defying. You can't really fake that.
did anybody else get Lost Boys influence from that chapter?
Yeah, that there's
Yeah.
there's multiple influences for sure, but yeah, that definitely has some of that. I guess we've established now in this universe, vampires can defy gravity and float.
Reading Dragon says, saying that there's a little bit of spice in this book is like a Louisiana grandma saying there's a little bit of spice in her gumbo and crawfish.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
um, I mean, obviously, it was a very like in terms of what we could read to you guys, it was quite short,
mhm.
um, but definitely impactful. Like we've definitely I think we've been waiting to reach this turning point. This tastes
Tastes
good,
good.
but it's gonna hurt later.
Thanks, chat. Appreciate that.
That's awesome. That's when you know you had a good time. Um,
Yeah, I think it was. Definitely left a mark, or maybe several.
mm,
Um,
mm,
but if you're looking for spice and you don't really judge, I think this would be something you might want to check out.
yeah, it's not like what's the word? Tawdry? Like it's not sleazy.
Hmm. Agreed.
Obviously it serves a purpose, I suppose, other than just fan service. um,
Blister Bean
but
says the puns are flowing. Yeah,
yeah,
that's not all
something
that's
was.
flowing. Lady Punnett,
Book
what
it
are
on
your
now
thoughts?
too.
Well, actually, since I didn't have many speaking roles in this chapter, I did some notes. I like the fact that one of them was basically calling Lamont a weird Spider-Man
Yeah.
because of how he was sticking to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was explaining what he was, he used like the vampire, Nosferatu, and then Strigoi,
Yeah.
which I knew the word, but I decided to quickly look up the origins. And apparently, according to a quick Wikipedia search, it's from Romanian mythology,
Yep.
and they are troubled spirits that are said to have risen from the grave.
Yep.
Yeah.
Strigoi
They
are. Go ahead.
Well, they are attributed to transforming into animals, become invisible, and gain vitality from the blood of their victims, which makes me wonder, can Lamont change into an animal as well since he said these things, or is he just being like extra?
Don't know yet, but Strigoi is actually where a lot of our old school vampire myths come from.
Yeah.
It's
definitely
where a lot of that legend and lore comes
origin
from.
myth, I guess
Yeah.
you could call it. Yeah. Yeah, Lamont is very dramatic. Maybe
Fucking
that's
drama
another
queen.
reason why I like him.
Fucking drama queen.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it before. He screams Toreador.
Yep.
But I liked just yeah. While it was short, it served a lot of purposes all at once. And it was very. It gave us a very good insight as to like where James is at internally.
Mhm.
And I do like that it didn't get dragged out any more than this. Because I was starting to wonder, like, when is the turning going to happen, right? Like, how much longer is this courting going to go on? So we've reached our pivot point now.
I've seen stories, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I've seen stories and read books, specifically series, where that doesn't happen for like chapters, entire like chapters. We're talking like halfway to or towards the end of the book, if not into like the next book or two.
Yeah, I'm never a fan of dragging that shit out. I mean, unless it serves a purpose, like if it's telling something important about the character that you're reading about, then yeah, if you're building a world or building a backstory that's very damn my brain but that's relevant to how this character is going to act throughout the books, then yeah, take your time with it. But I think we very much established from the very get-go that James' previous life very much like dead, right?
Yeah.
Past this turning point. But I am curious to see how that all comes together now. Because I mean, he was all gung ho in the moment, obviously for a variety of reasons. Um, but I am curious to see, what the next day is going to be like for him. Like, when is the full realization? Is he gonna have like a moment of like, I really did this, or and feel some regret, or if he's just gonna go like full tilt commit, right? I am curious about that. I'm not super familiar with um the author in general, aside from surface value. But I know he's poured a lot of himself into this. So I am very curious to see how it's going to go. I've got a feeling this won't pan out for Jack. Yeah, there's definitely a sense that especially given some of our trigger warnings and everything else, that things aren't going to be all puppies and kittens. So I'm curious to see how his world is going to change now.
Dragon says, I'm putting metaphorical money. He's going to go insane for a bit. I mean, that is a real possibility. That is how some people react to it before they adjust.
Yeah.
Some people go insane and never recover. Some people go insane and realize, some people realize, I made a mistake. Some people just can't live with themselves. And then others have been known to go insane and then recover slightly after, or after a little bit. Everybody reacts to this moment differently from what I've seen.
Yeah. And
Actually
go
curious
ahead.
myself.
Yeah, I'm because we've established some of their capabilities, so there is a sort of glamour as, but not so much as in like mesmerizing people, but more as making them unaware of their inhumanness, sort of like the Mist, if you were into Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
So it's but there's also like a lot of vampire myths, like talk about like the death of the soul, and it's not really the same person anymore. And I'm just wondering, is there going to be a big um emotional shift in him? Is he going to remain the same person, or is there going to be an actual like death of the self?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. um
I think he's gonna eat his sister.
oh, that escalated quickly.
Okay, let's talk about that. Why do you think that?
Well, I'm not sure if that's the right term, but we all know typically when in most vampire media, whenever you're first turned, you get that intense feeling of hunger. And I'm getting the feeling that he's gonna feel a little bit guilty, like, oh no, I didn't go back home at all last
Mm,
night or today. So I gotta go check on my family. And
mm.
most likely the sister's gonna be the only one home at night and possibly high out of her mind, and he's gonna smell blood and he's like, I'm starving, and he won't control himself, and then he's gonna go nom nom, and then
Okay. So, playing devil's advocate here, just for a second, or kind of playing the other side of the coin, rather, isn't that a little cliche?
A little bit.
I know, but we all love a good cliche once in a while.
See,
Fair.
I could see him attempting to turn her in the belief that maybe it would make her
Ooh.
better or to pull her away from the life she's in, and then failing at that.
Ooh.
I could
That's
see
a
that
thought.
being a thing.
Okay, that's definitely an interesting path to go down, and not something we see all that often.
Hmm.
There's very few that kind of take that path.
Yeah. That, or
Don't
he's gonna
know.
like accidentally kill his dad or his brother or something. Those I
I
think
was
would
going
be
to say,
more believable.
so let's take stock of what we know right now. I just kind of want to analyze this for a moment. Yes, Bliss. Lamont did say Jack would be staying with him. However, Jack is also, to put it in terms of Queen of the Damned movie, a little too human with human emotions. Still, they haven't
Mm.
quite fully bled away. He's like freshly made, right? So he might still have those connections and feel those things. Um, I do think, based on what we've seen so far, Jack has a lot of pent up and kind of shoved down emotion that he doesn't really deal with. A lot of it regarding his sister, who got kind of the shit end of the stick. But I think he's got a lot of anger and malice towards his brother, who's a drug dealer, and his father, who he sees as rather useless. And if you're looking to change your life, if you're looking to change the situation that you're in, and you get a chance to get the upper hand, the first thing you want to do is exert that power over those who have caused you a bunch of shit and like uncontrollable shit that you couldn't get away from. I'm curious to see if he's going to take it out on his father or his brother. Honestly, I think he's going to leave his sister alone, but I'd like to see if he takes it out on his father or his brother. And then maybe there's, I don't know, later on down the line, a moment of regret of, oh shit, I actually did that. Um, Kind of a turning point for him, a realization for him. Um, but I'm curious to see what Jack's written about this, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see what he's written about what's going to happen in the next few chapters to come.
I
And
mean, for
Dragon,
all I
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say there's a big possibility too that he'll like never go back,
Mm-hmm.
right? That
Yeah.
part of that he'll truly put that part of him to rest. Um, but there's also the possibility of say like Lamont being like, these people hurt you, and so as a present in some sort of like twisted vampire way, I'm gonna kill them for you so you don't have to worry about it anymore.
I do think if they go down that path, that is going to be unresolved issues for later on, which could then be used as another plot point. Also,
Yeah.
Dragon says as long as he doesn't do with his sister what Lestat did with his mom in the Anne Rice novel, yeah, we're just gonna casually stray away from that.
Yeah. But I do wonder, I mean, while talking about Anne Rice's novel, when it comes to the turnings, there is a sort of unwritten rule that like the more you turn, the more the more minions you make, the less potent they become.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Mhm.
I do wonder if this is going to be a part, or if there's going to be something like that in this universe. And also, how often has Lamont made people? It's
So
obviously not the first time, because you know what I'm doing. But like
the Vampire
the
Jack
does
Townson, the character, is based off of VTM rules. I've said this before and
yeah.
I'll say it again because I know a bit
Mm,
about the background story. I've talked with Jack a bit. It is
mhm,
based off of VTM lore. And one of the things with VTM lore is the further you get away from kind of the progenitor, the original,
the source.
the source, effectively of your bloodline, the weaker you are, which could lead credence to the further away from, or the more minions you turn, the more childer you make, the weaker they
Mhm,
get.
yeah. But that's the other thing too. Is Jack going to have new siblings? Is he going to run into, like clan members that were made by the same person?
Could be.
And is there a clan dynamic in this universe? Right? Is it
Bli-
like what's the hierarchy going to be like?
Blister Bean says spoilers.
Shh.
We don't do
No say.
spoilers here. We talk.
Yeah. No spoilers.
I've limited myself from talking about things when I read ahead. Thank you, as I know Dragon has too. That being said, Lady Punnet, what are your thoughts?
Hard to say for sure because I'm still getting into the book.
Mm-hmm.
And each time we read, I'm a little bit apprehensive because I know we got the trigger warnings,
Mm-hmm.
and this is kind of outside of the realm of what I would usually read on my own.
Okay.
So I think that's why it's taking me a bit longer to get into it as opposed to when we read our young adult novels,
Okay.
typically.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Um, but it is going well, and I do like how they're not. Lamont has that just enough of a, ooh, I'm getting slimy feelings from this guy without it being like the slick black greased hair and the trench coat with the pop collar type thing. Um, but yeah, it's going well. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Jack, especially with his descent into becoming a vampire and to being welcomed into this new world. It makes me wonder what would have happened if he had run into Annabelle first instead of Lamont, because Annabelle said point blank, "Oh my god, you are gorgeous."
Mm-hmm.
It makes me wonder if he would have had a different time or a better time, and she would have started off with him being like one of her models, and then when, because she gives me this sense of I'm not going to turn someone the first night I meet them.
Yeah.
She gives me more savvy businesswoman. So I
You're not
figure
wrong.
she like put in a little bit of an investment into Jack before, like, okay, so you've been working for me for a couple of months now. How would you feel to come into the fold and possibly earn more than you could ever imagine?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, on the other hand, I think like uh, vampire perspective wise, there's definitely an awareness that humans are fragile, and he could walk into the street and get mugged or hit by a bus or something. So it's one of those like strike while the iron's hot, because you never know, uh,
Oh, what was it?
kind of deal. Because he did give him a choice. I don't know if it was not a choice, if he would have gone for him either way. But I do appreciate that he was like, I'm going to show you what I am, and I'm going to give you the choice.
Just kind of circling back around, there is definitely the mentality of Star Trek, or was it another series? And the way they put it, humans break easily.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't remember if that was Star Trek or not, but I think it
I
had
think
something to do with
so.
a Klingon and another
Yeah.
species pairing.
Yeah.
It was basically just humans break way too easily.
Yeah, it was Worf that said that. I do remember it. I can't remember the context though for that one.
Oh no! You know who it was?
Who?
I'm wondering if it was a Voyager episode, because it might have been Neelix that had paired with a Klingon.
Me? Well, I mean, he does. That episode's hilarious, by the way.
Oh, damn! It escapes me. Like it's. I'm pretty sure it's Star Trek, and it's Klingon and another species, and just, it was an offhanded comment, but it's completely accurate, and now it's spanning across multiple fandoms.
I think it was Quark that asked Worf a question like that. And that's the answer he got.
I'll look into it later.
I'm doing that right now.
Blister Bean says, that said, how much of a choice was it? And what would Lamont have done if Jack said no?
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think we won't get to find that out unless Jack asks him and gets an actual honest answer, which, is, if you flew all the way over here just to poop on me, we're going to have words, bird.
What else have we got for this chapter, guys?
I got. At least everything I can think of and everything I wrote down in quick notes.
Critter?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it.
Does chat have anything they want to add?
I'll be right back.
No worries. Sorry about the audio, guys. Does chat have anything they want to add? I don't know. I think we've torn this
Anybody?
I'm thinking we've torn this chapter apart pretty well based on what we had read and what we were able to read here. Are you guys liking the pacing and progression of the story so far? I think the pacing has a few issues. I think there's some places where it's too fast. I think there's some places where it's too slow. And I think there's some places where they get it just right. But I do think the pacing has some serious issues. Bliss says nothing I can say. I mean, that is fair. You've also, I'm assuming, been there for most of this story, so most of the information and knowledge that you have would be considered spoilers. But I do appreciate you being here. His first novel, though, I'd say he's doing pretty well. Absolutely. For his first novel, he is absolutely doing well. He's doing a lot better than a lot of other novels I've seen. Pacing can be extremely hard to get right, especially for somebody who is not an inexperienced writer, but for somebody who hasn't really, published a book before, and especially for somebody who hasn't released it to a wider audience before. This book almost makes me want to rewrite a chapter or two of the one that I'm in the process of putting together. Dragon says, could it be the difference of pacing throughout the book is because of how one perceives time, especially neurodivergent individuals? It absolutely could be. The only way to answer that question would be to get into Jack's mind, I think. When he's writing. So. Anything else, guys?
No. I think that's it. I think we dissected all we can from what we were able to read.
Bliss says, ask Jack for an interview like you did with Old World Charm. It is definitely on our list of possible things to do. We are going to be adding him to our list of authors to interview, and I would love to sit down and just honestly pick his brain, see where he was at. How many chapters are there in total? Just curious. So in this book, we have a total of 31 chapters, plus a couple of others. We have so 31 chapters officially. Then we have, I think it's Into the Unknown, acknowledgments about the author, and also by Jack Townson. So just a couple of things. It looks like Into the Unknown might be for another book or something like that, but there are officially 31 chapters in this book. All right. Yeah, I would love to sit down and interview Jack at some point about this. It might be the prelude to book 2. It very well could be, because I know he has another book as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, normally Critter would be here for this, but I don't really have anything else to talk about. I don't really have anything else to cover. And I don't really want to drag this out until Critter gets back. So, I guess we'd like to thank you for joining us for the discussion on Chapter 6 of Fame Has Its Price by the Vampire Jack Townson.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to thank our chat for their insightful and rather thoughtful input. I would like to thank both of my co-hosts for their input and insightful thoughts as well. If you'd like to follow us on social media, you can do so at linktr.ee/idiotbooknook, where you'll be able to find links to our podcast, to our YouTube, to our Twitch, and all of our individual projects out on the net. And you'll be able to follow along and see what we're up to, and basically just keep tabs on us. For this episode of the Idiot Book Nook, my name is Blaze.
I'm Lady Punnet.
And Crittershy, of course, had to step away for a moment. On that note, we are going to wrap up. We are going to say goodbye, and we are going to thank you for we want to thank you for